What's happening, everybody? On today's show, it is officially award season. We'll get you caught up on some of the latest awards being doled out. And speaking of, we'll catch up with Alabama linebacker Will Anderson Jr. and Georgia tight end Brock Bowers, as they were both finalists for the Rotary Lombardi Award this week. A Locked On SEC starts right now.
Are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is happening, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Remember, Locked On SEC is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube and at LockedOnSEC.com. Well, let's jump into it. Let's go around the conference.
Boots out to the right. Takes the handoff. What a catch!
Around the conference.
And we start with none other than Hendon Hooker. The SEC office announced Wednesday afternoon that Tennessee senior quarterback Hendon Hooker has been selected by the league's head coaches as the 2022 SEC Offensive Player of the Year. Since the SEC Coaches Player of the Year award split into offensive, defensive, special teams back in 2002, Hendon Hooker is the first Vol to be recognized as SEC Offensive Player of the Year. Peyton Manning was the last Tennessee quarterback to be named SEC Player of the Year, taking home the honor in 1997. Hooker was also tabbed the SEC Offensive Player of the Year by the Associated Press, in addition to picking up first-team All-SEC honors from the AP and coaches earlier this week. He produced 3,500 yards of total offense, of course, 27 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions, rushed for over 400 yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. His 175.5 passer efficiency rating ranks second in FBS and was achieved against a schedule ranked the 8th toughest in the nation by ESPN's FPI. He claimed 5 wins over opponents ranked in the AP Top 25 at the time of meeting, and is also a finalist award for the Maxwell, the Manning Award, the Walter Camp Player of the Year Award, and the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award. So congrats to Hendon Hooker. Shame the season came to an end with the injury, but nonetheless, prior to that, he was absolutely outstanding. On the flip side, Will Anderson Jr. of Alabama, he's been named the SEC Defensive Player of the Year, as the league announced on Wednesday. One of the top defenders in all of college football, was selected as the Nagurski Trophy Award winner, awarded to the nation's top defensive player, total 51 tackles on the year, ranked sixth nationally in sacks, 7th in tackles for a loss, while leading the SEC in both categories. Meanwhile, Georgia place kicker Jack Podlesny was voted Special Teams Player of the Year. Ole Miss's Quinshon Judkins was voted SEC Freshman of the Year, and Arkansas's Ricky Stromberg was named the winner of the Jacobs Blocking Trophy. Georgia coach Kirby Smart was named SEC Coach of the Year for the 2nd consecutive season. Again, these awards as voted on by the league's coaches. Kirby Smart, the first coach since Nick Saban in 08-09 to be named SEC Coach of the Year in back-to-back seasons. And Mississippi State's Austin Williams was recognized as the SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year prior to the SEC Championship. Now back to Will Anderson, one of the top defensive players in college football. We'll play for you a little bit of our interview with him yesterday at the Rotary Lombardi Awards. But Wednesday night, he won the award. The award is given to the college player who best embodies the values and spirit of the NFL coach Vince Lombardi. A player has to be a lineman who's set up within 10 yards of the line to qualify for the award. They expanded it a little bit, so that's why Brock Bowers was included this year, and certainly all those guys, Jalen Carter, also a finalist for the award. But congrats to Will Anderson Jr., who picked up the victory in taking home the Lombardi Award. Some other notes going on around the conference. Will Levis over Kentucky. We know that he had already declared for the NFL draft earlier this week. A lot of people think he's going to be a first-round pick. On Wednesday, Levis took to Twitter to announce he is foregoing Kentucky's bowl game and will start preparing for the NFL draft. Kentucky will play Iowa in the Music City Bowl coming up on New Year's Eve. Meanwhile, over at Florida, they've been seeing a lot of guys enter the transfer portal, a lot of departures. We just saw this week that Anthony Richardson and Jervon Dexter declared for the draft. Cyrus Torrance, and now Ventrell Miller. We know his career has concluded at Florida. He was a redshirt senior linebacker. He's decided to skip Florida's bowl game with Oregon State. He's going to start preparing for the draft. Injuries limited Ventrell Miller last year. Was one of the best linebackers in the SEC just 2 years ago, where he had 88 tackles and 3.5 sacks. But congrats to Ventrell Miller on a solid career at Florida. Now he is heading off to the next level. Hugh Freeze going to have some work to do at Auburn and rebuilding that roster. A couple of guys have entered the portal there, but had a couple guys declaring for the draft this week, including Derek Hall and a couple other guys. And Owen Papa, Auburn star, to announce his plans for next season. Then shared on social media that he will enter the NFL draft. So Colby Wooden, Derek Hall, and now Owen Papo all heading to the NFL draft. Papo had a team high 93 tackles this past season. Was voted team captain for the second consecutive season. Over at Texas A&M, Jimbo Fisher having to do some retooling there on his roster. A lot of guys entering the portal, including last night Chris Marshall entering the transfer portal, one of their dynamic receivers. Him and Evan Stewart were both true freshmen. Marshall was a 5-star recruit, and so Chris Marshall entering the transfer portal. Some other news from Texas A&M yesterday is Devon Achane, their stud running back, announced he is declaring for the draft following his junior season there. One of the lone bright spots this season coming off 2 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons rushing the ball in his junior year. He had almost 1,300 yards to go with 11 touchdowns. In his final game, he led to that upset over number 5 LSU in College Station. Aggies did get some good news yesterday, too, as the number 1 running back in this upcoming recruiting class, 5-star running back Ruben Owens, decommitted from Louisville and committed to the Aggies later that day. So, again, Devon Achane announcing he's going pro. Actually turned out to be good news for the Aggies because Ruben Owens, the number 1 running back in the country, is coming to College Station. Over at Arkansas, Barry Odom going to have to do some retooling of his staff, as defensive coordinator Barry Odom has agreed to take the vacant head coaching position at UNLV. The Running Rebels have had 2 winning seasons since 2000, so Odom will have his work cut out for him. This will be his second head coaching gig. He was the head coach at Mizzou from 2016 to 2019. Over at South Carolina, Shane Beamer lost Marcus Satterfield to Nebraska last week, and so they've been looking for their new offensive coordinator. According to 24/7 Sports, the search may end with Dowell Logan's longtime coaching veteran and Arkansas tight ends coach. He is reportedly South Carolina's target for OC, so we'll see if Logan's heads over there. He's been with the Razorbacks for 2 seasons. We know that the Heisman Trophy ceremony will be presented this weekend. The finalists C.J. Stroud, Caleb Williams, Stetson Bennett, and Max Duggan. ESPN analyst Greg McElroy was on Paul Feinbaum this week. It said it's absurd that Hendon Hooker is not going to be in New York as a finalist. Too many voters got caught up with the, quote, flavor of the week. So I agree with him. I had no problem with Stetson Bennett being there, but I think Hendon Hooker deserved a shot to be there. Cole Kublik is part of the process to announce the Joe Moore Award, which is given out to the best offensive line in college football since 2015. On his radio show this week, Cole Kublik announced that the 2 finalists are Michigan and Georgia for the best offensive line. Michigan won it last year, so we'll see if the Georgia Bulldogs win it this year. Over at Mississippi State, Mike Leach got a guy leaving his program and putting his name in the dirt, as Mississippi State running back Dylan Johnson ruffled some feathers on Wednesday, announcing he is transferring. Posted to Twitter a statement saying, "With that being said, since I'm not very tough and head coach Mike Leach is glad I'm leaving, I'll be entering my name into the transfer portal." He's been a big contributor for the Bulldogs the past few years, totaling 1,200 yards and 11 rushing touchdowns, and been a good receiver as well. He's had 149 receptions there as well. So Dylan Johnson into the portal and throwing Mike Leach's name in the mud as he does. So we'll see what happens with him. Thank you guys for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Coming up next, our conversation with Alabama linebacker Will Anderson Jr. But first, this episode is presented by our friends over at LinkedIn Jobs. These days, Every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. They got simple tools like screening questions. They make it easy for you to focus on the candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helping you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Go post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. So go post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Again, go take advantage of this. Check out our friends over at LinkedIn Jobs. This episode also brought to you by our friends over at the Tax Act Texas Bowl. It is Houston's biggest college football event. It is returning December 28th as the Texas Tech Red Raiders take on head coach Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels in the Tax Act Texas Bowl. Don't miss out on your chance to be part of the fun, the pageantry, and the passion as the college football season draws to a close in a primetime showdown over at NRG Stadium with conference bragging rights on the line. Tickets, suites, and game day experiences are on sale now. So if you're a Rebels fan, master, or go to taxacttexasbowl.com. That's taxacttexasbowl.com. Again, bowl season is back. Then the Texas Bowl does it better than anybody. They got great tailgating. They got live music. They got all kinds of great fun fan experiences going for you. If you're looking for the whole family can enjoy during the holiday break, no better way to have fun this holiday season with tickets starting as $25. Visit taxacttexasbowl.com. Go get your tickets and get all the details for a full lineup of bowl week events, including concerts, team experiences, and more. If you're an Ole Miss fan, come on over to Houston and celebrate the Tax Act Texas Bowl as the college football season will wrap up or start to near the end with the Tax Act Texas Bowl. It's taxacttexasbowl.com. All right, roll along here, Locked On SEC, and we just caught up last night ahead of the Rotary Lombardi Awards. The winner of the award was Alabama linebacker Will Anderson, but right before the award show, we were able to spend some time with him. Here was some of our conversation with Alabama linebacker Will Anderson. Catching up with Will Anderson here of Alabama. Pretty good honor, man, to be getting your name in all these this award circuit, right?
Yeah, it feels good. It feels good. It's a blessing. I'm happy.
This one specifically, the Lombardi Trophy, goes to, not just best defensive or offensive lineman, but, person that does everything from blocking to technique to getting after. I mean, just everything kind of goes into it. This one's a little special, right?
Yeah, most definitely. It shows everything that you do on and off the field. I'm super excited to be here. My family's here with me, and, we're so blessed that we got this opportunity to come to Houston and be a part of something special.
It is cool too. I mean, sometimes you on this circuit you'll fly out with the communications department people and all this, but I saw you at the event last night where it looks like your whole family's having just as much as fun as you are.
Yeah, they are, and it's another reason as well, and get them out here to different cities and let them get a break from their hard work that they're doing back at home, and that they can kick their feet up and relax a little bit and be proud and be happy and celebrate with me. It means everything to me because that's all I'm about is family. So it's good. We always hear how tough. I mean, we know in the SEC it's so tough and hard to win on the road, but it looks like this year, man, the schedule was just so tough for you guys having to go to tough environments. I mean, it started with the non-conference at Texas, but those road environments this year were just tough for you guys, right? Yeah, most definitely. We played a lot of Texas. We played at Tennessee. We played at LSU. But that's why you come to Alabama to playing games like that. And even though it wasn't the outcome of the game, outcome of the the game that we wanted, the team still fought hard. Those guys gave it everything they got. We just got to play smarter football. We get out to do that. And this game that we have coming up, so I'm super excited about that, and I can't wait for it.
It's from one side, it's a positive. I mean, you guys were so close. The missed field goal at Tennessee and the 2-point conversion at LSU from being undefeated. Do you take that as a positive, or does it bug you a little bit more knowing you guys were that close?
I think it bugs us a little bit more knowing that we were that close because we knew the hard work that we put in this off season and how much of a special team that we had, and just to not get where we wanted to. Sometimes it just kind of like dang, and it fills us up, with just like, what can we have done better? But, we did a good job of, moving on from it. That next week preparation was good. The team responded really well to it. It wasn't no complainers or anything like that. So that's what I'm super proud of. Everybody just maneuvered their way around it and said, okay, we know what type of team we are and we're going to be the best.
How tough was it? I mean, last year you had such a big year, and now it's awesome. You get all the accolades, but then it also means you get game plans are built around you. How tough was that this year, having to deal with more double teams and teams kind of saying we're going to run away from Will Anderson?
Yeah, it was a little. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little frustrating at first, and they kind of it kind of got to me a little bit. But talking to Coach Saban and a few other coaches at Alabama, and they broke it down for me, and I think that's made me understand because I'm a big competitor, and I always want to be an overachiever, and I'll achieve what I did the year before. But they had to break it down to me like, hey, like, we want you to have all the success you want to, but people are looking. You're a game changer. Like, people are going to try to stop you. People are going to try to slow you down. And I think they did the best job they could do of helping me, move around and help make plays. But the other guys stepped up really big time. Dallas Turner, Byron Young, Henry, Jordan Battle, Moody, DJ Dale, all the Jaheim Otis, all those guys did a really good job of stepping up and making plays when the defense needed them. It did seem like at times the defense was in flux, but you guys got different guys to step up. You mentioned Byron Young. Dallas had some nice games. DeMarco Hellum's flying around. I mean, it felt like every week somebody big was defense. Yes, most definitely. And that's what we needed. You know what I'm saying? That's exactly what we needed. But we need all guys to be on the same page and all 11 hats to the ball and all 11 on doing everything the right way. And that's what we preach. And, like I said, we get an opportunity to do that against Kansas State, and we're super excited about it. The season, obviously, it didn't go the way you really wanted, but to end it with a win in the Iron Bowl is always nice, right? Yes, of course. That's one game that everybody that's the game you remember for, and they always talk about the Iron Bowl, and a lot of fans, even if you lose or don't go to Natty, they always gonna remember the Iron Bowl game. So it was a good win, and we were super excited. Talk a little bit about your defensive coordinator, Pete Golding, because it feels like he doesn't get the respect and love that he should for being such a great defensive mind. What do you like most about Coach Golding? Coach Pete does a really good job of scheming up everything and helping make sure that the best play spot and helping them make plays and stuff like that. But making sure that all the guys are lined up the right way, making sure that everybody's comfortable with the plays that he's calling, and make sure that we're almost on the same page and everything like that. But he does a really good job, and yeah, he's good. Some big decisions to be made here for both you, Bryce, and a couple other guys. But just looking ahead for a guy like Bryce, what do you expect from him at the next level? What's an NFL team going to get out of Bryce Young? They're going to get a big competitor, smart guy, high IQ, good knowledge for the game, great leader, great teammate, great brother, very coachable player. I'm super excited to call him a teammate, a brother. He's been excellent at Alabama. I can't wait to see him at the next level, but he's going to do great things on the next level. He's a humble guy. I love him to death, and I can't wait to see him work. All right, well, Will Anderson's not playing football. What are you doing? I'm going to the lake, relaxing, fishing, or just enjoying the water. You're not a TV guy, Netflix, that kind of thing? A little bit. I watch a little. I like Game of Thrones and House of Dragons. Those two are my favorite shows, but I finished both of them already, so I don't know what else to watch. So if anybody got some recommendations, let me know. Would you have been, if you lived back then, would you be riding dragons around? Oh, most definitely. I have the biggest dragon out. Well, thanks for the time, man. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. All right, that's Will Anderson. Thanks again to Will joining us for a few minutes. And again, congrats to him on winning the Rotary Lombardi Award, among all the other awards that he's going to be racking up here. Coming up next, our conversation with Georgia tight end Brock Bowers. He's still got a lot on the line, a true sophomore, having a fantastic season, and still a lot to play for. Got a chance to go back-to-back winning national championships. So our conversation with Brock Bowers in just a second. But first, I want to remind you about our friends over at BetOnline. This episode is presented by BetOnline.net. They are the number one place you need to go when it comes to checking out all the betting information you need before you get into it. It is your number one source for sports betting information, stats, news, and analysis. You can get all the latest trends, odds for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball, soccer. They got it all for you at betonline.net. If you love sports podcasts, articles, they got them all up there. They're the fastest and easiest way for you to get your betting fix. Head on over to their website today. You can do so on your mobile device to learn more about them.
Again, it is BetOnline. It is where the game starts. They got all the bowl action coming for you, all the betting lines for that as well. So, look, some of these early bowl games are not very interesting. Make them interesting by getting in on the action over at BetOnline. Again, all the SEC bowl games as well. We'll get into some of those betting lines here very soon. But head on over to betonline.net. They've got all the information you need. Continue on here, Locked On SEC, and being at the Rotary Lombardi Awards last night, we were able to catch up with not only Will Anderson Jr., but also Georgia tight end Brock Bowers. Now, warning, Brock was eating. We caught up with him. He had just gotten in town, so enjoy our conversation with Brock Bowers as he was eating some Tex-Mex food. Pleasure now to be joined by Brock Bowers here at the Lombardi Awards, and we're here in Houston, Texas, and you're getting a little taste of a little Houston Tex-Mex. How is it?
Oh, it's good. It's real good. Real good.
Talk a little bit about this award, Lombardi. It's synonymous for having defensive linemen, offensive linemen, but really they expanded it to people who are dynamic blockers. And I've watched your game these last couple of years. You're only a true sophomore, but it seems like you've really improved your blocking technique, and looks like something you've probably prided yourself on, right?
Yeah, I mean, just trying to work on it. I mean, anything that you can improve upon. And, I mean, that was the kind of focus for me on the offseason too. So, yeah, it was good to get better every year at something. So
we know how great of a ball catcher you are down there. You're so physical, seem to catch everything. But is it some of those guys you take, even like go back to Hines Ward and those guys, they take more pride, just as much pride in throwing a good block as they do making a great catch, right?
Yeah, I mean, it all feels good just springing like a play or something for my teammates, or just running the ball too. I mean, I'm good with whatever.
Go back to Saturday. You guys obviously facing a scrappy LSU team, and obviously they never let up. They could have threw in the towel. They kept fighting you guys, but on offense, things just seemed to click in that second quarter, and it just seemed like you guys were on fire.
Yeah, I mean, it helps when you can run the ball, and we're throwing the ball good. I mean, we have a bunch of playmakers, so it all helps to have 11 dudes out there that are all fully capable, and all of our skill players making plays. So it's good to see. We just saw Stetson, Heisman finalist, and it's so great to see him. I mean, his completion percentage has improved this year, his yardage has improved, but tell us a little bit about Stetson, the guy, because it still feels like as accomplished as he is, he's still disrespected. Yeah, I mean, he has all the wins and stats to back it up. I mean, he's been doing great this year, and just helping us like a motivator on the team, and just getting the job done. So,
what have you seen out of him though? That's really, I mean, it just looks like, especially on Saturday, just full control of that offense.
Yeah, I mean, just studying the game and making the right reads, and like kind of knowing what the defense can do before they do it, and just playing off that.
It's so crazy to repeat undefeated season through the SEC, and you guys did it. I mean, you lost all these pieces, but what was Coach Smart's focus and message to get you guys to reset with all you lost to the draft, to be able to reset and do this again?
Yeah, I mean, we have good players, like just good recruits and everything, and I mean, just coaches like ability to develop everyone on the off season. And I mean, every single day during practice, I mean, we're going ones, twos, threes, all getting reps. So, I mean, that always helps because at the end of the day, it's all about reps and like how many live, like kind of play reps you get. Looks like Coach Monken, this offense has really taken it to another level since he's gotten in there. And what have you seen out of him just as a play caller, and how has the offense changed these last couple of years? Yeah, I mean, I feel like every single play builds up to another play, and I feel like that's like where we're kind of different than most, is like we have stuff to go off, like just different formation that we do. We'll have a couple plays for each formation, and I mean, it helps to throw out the defense, and I mean, just throw a few wrinkles in there to help us out. You talk about being different than most. So many teams have that one bell cow running back, but you guys have three different guys. It's a three-headed attack, but it's a true three-headed attack that just keep bringing in McIntosh, Edwards. I mean, it's fresh legs. How much do those guys kind of like that and thrive off of each other, because it is a three-headed attack? Yeah, I mean, it always helps to have those horses in the stable just ready to roll, and they're all just amazing, like you said, and all kind of bring something different to the table, I guess. All the pieces you guys lost this offseason on defense, what did you see out of this group coming into the season, knowing Jalen Carter was going to be back? But, I mean, even some of these freshmen, Malachi Starks has really turned some heads. What did you see out of this defense coming into the year? I mean, we always knew they were going to be good, just practicing against them every day in the offseason. And, I mean, it's like last year's defense, it's just Georgia defense.
Did I hear you in an interview you were saying you didn't even get to celebrate last year because they were the NCAA drug testing and all? They didn't even get to celebrate with your teammates, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was during the national championship. It was like, they randomly choose a couple dudes, and I was unlucky and had to go do that. So it was not fun.
Yeah, well, don't do that again. Don't take away the joy from these guys. What was it like, though, to celebrate? Because it's so funny, when you look back to what Kirby's done there, 5th trip to Atlanta, but only the 2nd time to win the SEC championship. And as many people were saying, oh, Georgia's in no matter what. I know you guys wanted to hoist that trophy and solidify yourselves as the SEC champs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was just like doing something different than last year's team. So last year's team wasn't able to win the SEC championship. So that was just one way to separate ourselves, just keep on chopping, just game by game.
All right, can you tell me a little bit about Brock Bowers? Not the football player, but when you're not playing football, what are you doing?
I mean, I like to hunt, I like to fish, and then golfing a little bit in the off season. Kind of got a hold of golfing last year. So,
what's the biggest? Mostly deer you hunt or what?
I mean, I like to hunt ducks, but most of the time deer, because I mean it's the easiest thing to go out and do in Georgia.
I mean, you get the ducks in the air, right? Like, you got to be a pretty good target.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly.
Last thing for you, what's the last thing you've watched? Movie, Netflix? What's the last thing you watched?
Last thing I watched. Yellowstone.
Are you a big Yellowstone fan?
I'm not. I've been trying to get more and more into it, but yeah.
Pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
just like the Tex-Mex here, right?
Oh yeah, it was good. Good.
Brock Bowers, thanks so much for the time, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And again, Brock Bowers, appreciate him joining us for a few minutes between bites. He was getting his dinner in as we chatted with him, so we appreciate him. That is going to do it for this edition of Locked On SEC. Again, our thanks to Will Anderson Jr. and Brock Bowers for joining us, and thanks to the Rotary Lombardi Awards for having us out. Thank you guys for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Now go make your second listen. Check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Chris Gordy. It's been Locked On SEC. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.